Okay, so here's a perfect example of why these directions suck. You've got three seemingly identical photos and you have to guess what the difference is between each. So here it says insert the plunger. This is what keeps the filament against the drive gear. It should slide into place on plate C. Slide it in just as shown. Where? What is the plunger part? What does that look like? Oh, it's this little black thing here because the only way I know that is the difference between these two photos. So, definitely uncool. All I had to do was take a photo of the piece like this, draw an arrow, and that's that. So, so far I'm not too, I don't have too many good thoughts about whoever made the directions for this yet. And this apparently slides all the way through randomly. And whereas in this photo the angle makes it look like it's pressed right up against it, there is a lot of play in between these two sides right here. What's going on? I don't know. And this slides all the way through. So how far should it be set? Why is there not some kind of stop mechanism? We'll find out soon, I guess, but so far I gotta say this is really poor. Granted, some of it's my own stupidity, I give you that, but they're not helping out at all. Another perfect example. They say to insert the thumb screw. Well, two of them are one length and another is a third length, or a second length. Which one? There's no way to tell. Nowhere in these directions do they say which of them, whether it's the longer or the shorter. So, who knows? I'm gonna guess it's the long one. What evidence do I have of that? None whatsoever. And whereas the previous photo had this piece lined up right there, now all of a sudden it's somewhere down there. And it says to put, forget it. This is just and the bolt doesn't fit. And it's certainly the correct bolt. Well, it fits that way. Again, they do say to actually put the nut on the bolt and then insert it, but nowhere in the photo do they say, oh, hey, try this first and then that. So I don't know how much more bitching I'm going to have about the directions here, but I'm sure it's going to continue. That's hilarious. The thumb screw retainer bolts are what keep the M5 nut in place and need to be on the outside of the nut as shown. Insert them in and then bolt them in place, one finger tight for now though. What the hell are they talking about? This is black on black photo. The web page is a little more clear, but not really. Thumb screw retainer bolts. Is that the M22s? Is it the M16s? It's definitely not the M16s. I'm guessing this is correct. The photo doesn't indicate that. The directions don't indicate that. And granted, part of the problem here is the fact that I'm not tightening these up severely now, just enough to get them there. Part of the problem is that these are clear parts that you're dealing with, so you can't see what's going on. Granted. Now that I've actually put the pieces of plastic together, I can say that this one is laser cut with an A in it. I don't see anything for the B plate. But now that I have a background, I can see that the D is laser etched here. But again, unless you're looking at it against some other color, there's no way to tell. Just a hassle. Just a hassle. Do I think this piece is set? I have no idea. So we'll put it aside for the moment. Because then all of a sudden they switch gears and go to the drive gear with the motor shaft, which it looks like I've already attached with the bearing as well. And that is in fact the case. So now I get to bolt the motor to the filament drive housing, which looks like it goes this way and doesn't want to fit. So even though these look aligned here, and the bolts should align it, inside there are clearly, definitely misalignments going on. Pushing that isn't going to help at all, so I really don't want to do this. If this gets too loose, it's probably going to be worthless. But yeah, that B plate is definitely blocking it. So that just means I got to pull just about all of it apart. On the directions here it says you may need to sand what's going on. It warns that you can crack the acrylic. And if you're slightly off axis, you're going to have a huge hassle later. Nice. So yeah, I definitely don't think much of whoever wrote these, rather the abilities of whoever wrote these directions. Oh, so this doesn't fit in the A plate whatsoever to begin with. So guess what I get to do? So if you make one of these, your first step is to test fit. Being a model maker, I should know that, but being laser cut parts for a very expensive piece of gear, I kind of expect better. And I'm very sure for the money spent, we have every reason to expect better on this. If you've ever worked with acrylic, you know that it's a total hassle. To sand, and the particles from acrylic are exceptionally coarse and painful. Motherfucker. Let's at least make sure. So yeah, I'm going to pull all this apart. The last hour's worth of work has been utterly worthless. Because of parts that don't fit properly. For directions that have been written poorly, and now this piece is totally jammed in here. There's going to be no way to pull this off.